This is your closing day drill and look ahead to Monday for Friday, March 21st, 2014. Taking a quick look at the markets as we approach the closing bell. Looks like we're in the green across the board after seeing with the exception of the NASDAQ, who got hit hardest, Symantec just plummeted today. But we did have the S&P hitting intraday highs earlier. It did pair gains afterward on some optimism about the economy, as well as on a day with something known as quadruple witching. That's when futures and option contracts on indices expire, as well as some individual stocks. So that did happen today. Now taking a look, too, at some of the other markets, let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil did finish up higher, while natural gas extended some losses, and gold was up on the day as the euro did push against the greenback quite a bit today. It was as high as 138.03. It came back down under 138. But again, euro is showing a nice effort here against the greenback. Now also taking a look at some of the headlines that came out earlier today on the economic front. It really was a day that we didn't have too much on the U.S., but there was a lot of data out in Canada. We covered this earlier, but again, some decent reports on the Canadian front for core CPI and retail sales month over month. Now, on the U.S. front, just about an hour and 10 minutes ago, we did have one FOMC member, Fisher, come out, and he did speak about the Fed exhausting some of his efforts with its U.S. QE policy. And he was speaking in London earlier. He did say that the Fed has added massively to its balance sheet, and he also mentioned that he's seen some excessive risk by the FOMC, and that he, again, in line with what Janet Yellen said earlier this week, sees asset buying by the U.S. to taper off by October, and at the current pace. Again, a reminder about what Janet Yellen said earlier this week. She indicated that the central bank's stimulus program may end in the fall, and then rates could rise about 6 months thereafter, and that looks like about the spring of 2015. So again, just a reminder about Yellen's comments. I'm sure you haven't forgotten about that. Also, earlier today, we had the EU come out and talk about it adding to the sanctions against Russia over the turmoil over the Crimea region in the Ukraine, and this follows S&P cutting its rating on the nation of Russia just yesterday. Some other headlines that came out earlier today include Media General that just rallied up higher after agreeing to buy Lynn Media. We covered that with Mike on the mic and an alert just about an hour ago. Also, again, Symantec slumping over 12% today. Again, Symantec, a reminder, antivirus software maker. It fired its chief executive officer yesterday on poor performance in the cybersecurity marketplace, and the board is relentless. They just fired a CEO less than 2 years ago, as well as 5 executives. So, no mercy from that board, that's for sure. Also, Nike slid 4% after it reported that sales climbed at a slower pace than analysts had predicted, and we did get that earnings report late yesterday. Now, looking ahead to Monday, after we got hit by a Japanese report from the BOJ tomorrow and Saturday, Monday is going to bring at least a couple more indicators out of the U.S. We are going to get flash manufacturing PMI. That's going to be the main report from the U.S. area. We do have some big reports from the Eurozone, including German flash manufacturing and French flash manufacturing. Also in Canada, we have some government council members speaking too, so we might look at that as a medium impact report as well. On the earnings front, we do have earnings from retailer Perry Ellis. Not big reports on Monday. A lot of the cheaper, smaller stocks coming out. And again, today, we saw that as it is the end of the quarter, not too much coming out of the major companies, but Tiffany and Darden both having mixed reports out this morning, and Darden really showing a reflection of its losses from its chain of Red Lobster restaurants, and more talk again has resurfaced about the company selling off the Red Lobster chain, which seemed to have helped some investors' optimism over the overall picture for Darden restaurants. So that does it for our end of the week drill and look ahead to Monday. We'll be back with more technical analysis and news in just a bit.